Happy Friday, folks, and welcome back to the Random Video Blog, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, run down my rambling thoughts in the wrestling world, share a few stories, etc., etc. And for the first time in a few months, I am back with a book review. I did a lot of book reviews here on the channel in 2017. I did one for AJ Lee's book, which I had done the audiobook for from with Audible, I think it was. A great book, thoroughly enjoyed that. I talked about Ryback's book, Pat Patterson's book, Chris Jericho's fourth book, this one right here, four-letter word, no is a four-letter word right here. I think I talked about this on the website, on nextdaywrestling.net. I didn't talk about it here on the channel, but read that one, reviewed it for the website if you want to check it out. A lot of other book reviews I did throughout 2017, so check those out if you haven't already. Today, for the first one of 2018, like I said, I will be talking about an all-new book entitled Saint Mick, My Journey from Hardcore Legend to Santa's Elf, as narrated, obviously written by one Mick Foley, WWE Hall of Famer. I have not read Mick's other books, which might come as a surprise because I know they're so excellent. The only other book of Mick's that I have read was Lethal Lockdown, the one that he put out during his time, or about his time in TNA Wrestling. I read that about 5-6 years ago, and it was a really, really good book, but also through what he writes on Facebook and on Twitter and other writings of his, not only in just book form, Mick Foley is right up there with one of my favorite authors, along with Chris Jericho, because they have a certain voice about their writing. Their voice really shines through in their writing, is what I should say. You can kind of get a personality about them. They make jokes at themselves, self-deprecating humor, stuff like that. And it's not boring. It doesn't feel like someone wrote it for them. That's what I really, really enjoyed about this book, Lethal Lockdown. So I thought this would be a great book to pick up. And, I mean, obviously I'm wearing my Bootios t-shirt from the Christmas edition from last year. I know it's like fucking January 11th, I realize that, or January 12th, whatever the date is today. I realize we are well past Christmas. My goal was to finish this before Christmas and review it before Christmas here in the Random Video Blog, but just didn't have enough time. It was just way too busy. I didn't really give myself enough time to read it. I was reading before this one Justin Roberts' book, and I have not yet finished that, so I'm hoping to finish that next. I got like halfway through because I really wanted to read this one during Christmas season. So I will get back to that. It will probably be the book review, the next book review I do here in the Random Video Blog, hopefully about a month or two. But yeah, getting back to this book right here, I'm a huge Christmas mark, so being a Mick Foley fan and a Christmas mark, I knew this would be the book for me. I haven't seen too much hype for it. I'm not sure if Mick Foley didn't do like the greatest job promoting it, because I didn't really see too much talk about this book, other than the fact that he was going to be doing a book signing near me here in Connecticut a few months back, and I knew I had to go. Whatever book it was going to be, I was going to buy it and have him sign it and get a picture with him, which I did. That was I think the 5th time I've met Mick Foley. I met him at Northeast Wrestling back in 2011. I ran into him on vacation in 2015. All events I've recalled here on the Random Video Blog before. I talked to him in Northeast Wrestling over the summer, over in August, the same day I met Chris Jericho. And the other time I met Mick Foley was, that Northeast Wrestling show in the summer of 2015, the same day I met Samoa Joe. So the 5th time was the charm. As always, Mick Foley's a super cool dude. He did sign the opening of the book for me. It says, "To Graham, have a nice day," from Mick Foley. So really, really cool stuff. But yeah, it doesn't really matter if you're a wrestling fan, especially if you're a Christmas fan. This is a great book for you. As you can tell from the back cover, Mick Foley, or Santa Claus, I should say, as WWE Champion. Mick Foley is the biggest, and I thought I was a big Christmas fan. Mick Foley is the biggest Christmas fan you will ever meet. And it's super, super cool to see, because the guy is very, very nice. Very heartwarming. Again, kind of takes shots at himself throughout the book, which I appreciate. It's funny. Makes for some good laughs and some running gags throughout the remainder of the book, like how he kind of held a grudge against WWE for the fact they didn't bring him in for the Christmas episode of Raw in 2014 and stuff like that. How at the beginning he wanted to be the WWE Santa. You know, the Santa they bring in every year, which they did bring him in 2012 to be Santa. And quite honestly, not trying to blow smoke up his ass or anything, I had no idea that was him until he did the Mandible Claw. I had no idea that was Mick Foley, which was pretty incredible. The transformation that he goes through, and it's only gotten better through time, too. This is what he looks like, again, as Santa Claus. It's pretty amazing. He looks very much like Saint Mick, or Saint Nick, I should say. He is Saint Mick. Saint Nicholas. But yeah, the transformation that he goes through, he recalls all of that in this book, kind of where it started, his various journeys to Santa's Village, where I actually didn't meet him there. I didn't run into him there. I was on vacation in New Hampshire 3 years ago. I was at Santa's Village earlier on in the week. Then I ran into him at an amusement park a few days after that. And I guess he was in the area also at Santa's Village like the day prior or something. So it's pretty cool to hear about that because I've been to Santa's Village multiple times throughout my life as well. So to kind of hear him talk about that, and there's so much about the Santa Claus culture that I did not know. I mean, again, I've heard Mick Foley talk about it before. I watched the documentary that came out in 2014, I Am Santa Claus. Again, great watch. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It used to be on Netflix. It isn't anymore. You can purchase it like through iTunes, and I think I might have bought it on like Amazon Video or something this past theater watch before Christmas. But that is also a great documentary that I would actually recommend you watch before you read this book. Kind of helps make more sense of things. But he recalls a few different experiences, not trying to get too much away, but like his awful Christmas in his eyes in 2011, and the reaction of his kids when they didn't see Santa Claus that night, and then a complete 180 the following year when they did finally get to meet Santa Claus again. All things recalled in the I Am Santa Claus documentary. Really, really heartwarming stuff. And then how he goes on to become Santa Claus every single year, doing things called sneak a peek visits, which I had no idea existed. Super cool stuff where like kids will come downstairs and watch Santa Claus, Mick Foley as Santa Claus, in the act, putting down gifts and interacting with his elves and stuff like that. It's really fucking cool. I didn't even know that stuff existed. So again, to kind of get an inside look at that type of stuff is awesome. He also talks about some wrestling stuff in this book too. It kind of recalls certain parts of his career, being in pain, getting on DDP yoga. Holy Foley, he kind of sort of talks about, not too much. And then this had come out, this was written after the show was filmed and aired. So, he could have talked about it more, but there's really not much more to say. The show, in my opinion, was really not that good. I'm sorry, Mick Foley, if you're watching this, but it was not that good of a show. But I really love this book. I love the Foley family and Mick Foley. They just did not come across that great in the show, whatever. But he kind of recalls a bit about that. And again, there is some wrestling talk, too. If you're a big wrestling fan, first of all, if you're a Mick Foley fan, buy the fucking book. Read the book. You'll thoroughly enjoy it if you're a Mick Foley fan. But also, not only if you're a Christmas fan, too, obviously. That's kind of who the audience is. That's kind of who this is designated for, that audience, the Christmas audience. But for the wrestling fans out there who want to check out the book, but they might be on the fence about it, there is some wrestling talk, too. Again, he talks about coming in and coming back to WWE in 2011, portraying Santa Claus for a Christmas episode of Raw, and he didn't look all that good as Santa Claus. It was very obvious it was Mick Foley and not Santa Claus. So he talks about the transformation through the following year and being on Raw on Christmas Eve, that episode of Raw, and getting snubbed the following year, and again the grudge that he held against the company for that, and his relationship with the company throughout the years with Vince McMahon, going into the Hall of Fame, wanting to do something Santa Claus themed for that event. Being the Raw general manager, there's an awesome foreword by the then Raw commissioner, I think still Raw commissioner, I'm not sure, Stephanie McMahon at the beginning of this book. So, again, a little bit of everything for somebody, for everyone with this book, between the Christmas stuff, the Mick Foley stuff, the Foley family stuff, and the wrestling stuff too. So, again, really, really good book. Once again, check it out at the bookstore near you. Saint Mick, My Journey from Hardcore Legend to Santa's Jolly Elf. Written by the one, the only, the hardcore legend, WWE Hall of Famer, Mick Foley. So as a Christmas fan, as a Mick Foley fan, as a wrestling fan, I love this book. The only real thing I have against it, not really have against it, my only real gripe with it, and it didn't even really bother me, it's just something I wanted to point out, there are mistakes pretty much on every single page. In terms of like grammatical stuff, like the last sentence of this very book does not have a period at the end of it. So I'm not sure if it wasn't like proofread or edited or whatever, because there's a lot of mistakes. So it's like a 250-page book, and I'm not talking about like there instead of there, like the usage of certain words. Like where quotation marks should be, there's like this weird fucking mark. I don't know, like it's not like one of these. It's not like one of those. I don't know, like a greater than, less than sign. It's not one of those. So I'm not sure. There's a lot of mistakes in here that did not, for whatever reason, were not picked up. Pretty much like one in every single page. Like in certain parts of the book, certain parts of the book, certain things would be italicized. Like a page later, they wouldn't be italicized. There was even one part of the book, like one paragraph, that was like repeated on the very next page, and that wasn't a joke either. He made a joke about having like concussions and stuff like that, and not remembering what he wrote and repeating certain things. Like, I got that part. He mentioned that in the book, but he did it even before that. Like, and it was the exact same paragraph, like written slightly differently, and I'm not sure if he forgot about it or whatever. So I'm not sure if this was rushed to print or whatever. So that, again, that doesn't ruin the book for you at all, but just wanted to point that out, that there's like a lot of grammatical mistakes in the book. Again, not like, I mean, the guy's an amazing writer, so it's not like the things that really matter. It's just like there's no period here, no quotation mark here, certain things aren't italicized. There's like no consistency throughout the writing with how certain things are formatted. Beyond that, though, again, really, really good book. Great read at any point throughout the year. I mean, especially during Christmas season, the holiday season, but if you're like Mick Foley, it doesn't matter. Christmas is all year round for you. So definitely check it out. Again, Saint Mick, My Journey from Hardcore Legend to Santa's Jolly Elf. So that does it for my latest book review right here on the Random Video Blog. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, whatever, be sure to like the video right here on the channel. Be sure to comment, share the video. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Like I said at the start of the video, I will have my next book review up, hopefully in the next month or two. Justin Roberts' book is longer. The text is smaller, so it's going to take me a little longer to get through it, but so far, so good. It's a really, really good book. That should hopefully be the next book review I do, coming up at some point, like I said, in the next few months. And then after that, I also got Jim Ross's new book for Christmas. So haven't started that yet. Hoping to check that out and start reading it soon after Justin Roberts' book in the next few months or so. So again, guys, thoroughly appreciate you guys checking out the video. Be sure to have an amazing rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.